Close authorities across the country are struggling with inmates using cell phones smuggled into jails and prisons. Some inmates have used the phones to deal drugs, order hits and plan escapes. District attorneys in Tennessee are asking legislators to change the law to make possession of the phones by inmates a crime. Now it is not. Watch it. Washington, a sex offender behind bars in Tennessee used a cell phone smuggled into prison to swap child pornography and invite a pedophile to help him rape his own daughter. A gang member incarcerated in North Carolina used a cell phone to call in a hit on the prosecutor's father, who was then kidnapped and assaulted by the inmate's accomplices. A growing number of crimes committed by inmates using contraband cell phones has sparked a bipartisan movement in Congress to stem the illegal flow of the devices into the nation's jails and prisons. It's a real problem, and it's a growing problem, said Rep. David Kustoff, the Tennessee Republican who is leading the campaign. Rep. David Kustoff, Germantown photo Stan Carroll. The commercial appeal contraband cell phones are often used by inmates to coordinate criminal activity and pose a serious threat to the safety of correctional officers and staff and even the general public, said Rep. Steve Chabot, Ohio. Kustoff, a former federal prosecutor, recently organized a letter signed by 52 House members and senators, Republicans and Democrats, calling on the Federal Communications Commission to set up a meeting with corrections officials, major cellular providers and the FBI to look for ways to effectively block, or hamper, the use of contraband cell phones by inmates. In response, FCC Chairman Ajit V. Pai promised to facilitate the meeting within 120 days. I share your concerns about the proliferation of contraband wireless devices in prisons and the potentially devastating implications for public safety, Pai wrote in an October 24 letter to Kustoff. More Senate confirms Trump choice. Ajit Pai head FCC Federal Bureau of Prisons confiscated 5,116 cell phones from its facilities in 2016. Based on data available for the first 6 months of this year, the agency projects that the number of confiscations will jump by 28% in 2017. The problem is significantly worse in state and local correctional facilities, Assistant Attorney General Beth A. Williams wrote on August 28 in a letter to FCC Secretary Marlene Dortch. Most, if not all, correction systems bar prisoners from using cell phones, but inmates have had no trouble getting their hands on the sought-after devices. In Tennessee, for example, it's illegal to bring a cell phone into a prison, but it's not illegal for an inmate to be in possession of one of the devices. The Tennessee Department of Corrections seized more than 2,000 cell phones last year, yet there is no ability to prosecute the inmate for mere possession in those cases, said Michael Dunavant, U.S. Attorney for the Memphis-based Western District of Tennessee. This deficiency just emboldens and encourages further introduction, possession and use by inmates and continues to present a significant public safety threat. In one case, Christopher David Gripe of Wartburg, 10, was already serving time in the Morgan County Regional Correctional Facility just outside of Knoxville for sexual exploitation of a minor when he was caught last year using a cell phone smuggled into the facility to swap photographs and videos of children being raped. A forensic search revealed that Gripe also had used the phone to engage in internet conversations with the pedophile. Gripe pleaded guilty and was sentenced last July to 280 months in prison on top of the 8-year sentence he already was serving. Most inmates use contraband cell phones not for illegal activity, but to call their families or friends, said David Fathi, director of the American Civil Liberties Union's National Prison Project. Sometimes, the phones are thrown over the prison fence by relatives or are even flown in by drones. Many times, Fathi said, the suppliers are prison staff, particularly low-paid guards who sneak in the contraband to help supplement their income. More inmates fly mobile phones, drugs and porn into jail via drone. While prisons have a legitimate security interest in keeping the phones out, they also have helped feed the demand for the illegal devices by making it extremely expensive for inmates to call their relatives on legitimate phones inside the prison, Fathi said. Fathi said the calls are expensive because prisons receive a portion of the revenue. A short phone call could be $10 or $15, which is an enormous amount of money for prisoners and their families who come from the very poorest sectors of society, he said. The solution favored by many corrections officials for dealing with contraband cell phones is jamming signals in prisons. But under law, federal agencies can grant permission to jam public airwaves only to other federal agencies, not state or local ones. Besides, technology companies say jamming is not the answer because it could potentially impact cell phone users outside the prison grounds, especially in urban areas. Other options under review include experimental managed access systems, already in use in Mississippi, Maryland, South Carolina and Puerto Rico, that allow only authorized calls to go through, or low-level beacon technology that would alert prison guards when an unauthorized cell phone is activated within the facility and then shut down the device, rendering it useless. Both systems are costly and, in the case of the beacon technology, would require carriers to agree to download software onto their phones. Even then, older phones that aren't equipped with the software would go undetected. More Justice Department review. Federal prisons struggle to track contraband. Kustoff and other lawmakers say they would prefer cellular providers and corrections officials take a collaborative approach to address the problem instead of Congress mandating a solution. Chairman Pai and the FCC are well equipped to identify effective solutions to this problem, said Sen. Richard Shelby, Raleigh. CTIA, a Washington-based trade association that represents the wireless industry, said solutions will require action by all stakeholders. Kustoff said he senses that most jails and prisons would willingly install the necessary technology to stop prisoners from using cell phones, but if there needs to be some legislative solution, then I'm going to work on leading that solution, said Kustoff, who became involved in the issue at the request of prosecutors and lawmakers in his state. There is absolutely no good emanating from a prisoner in Tennessee or any other prisoner having possession of a cell phone, he said. Read or share this story. http://sussit.ly2m8rnhf